Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. After the 143rd running of the Kentucky Oaks, America's top race for 3-year-old fillies, we have a winner, and that is number 13, Abel Tasman from the barn of Bob Baffert. 3 Kentucky Oaks wins for Bob Baffert. We'll have Bob in a few minutes. He's got a filly saddling for this race, so we think he's going to be a little bit later. Pretty nice filly named American Cleopatra running in this next race, but we are very fortunate to have back for a second time in this position, having won the Kentucky Oaks. Ladies and gentlemen, Jockey Mike Smith, the winner of this year's Kentucky Oaks.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right, Mike, all spring long, all winter long, it looked like you were going to be on the favorite for this race, the Kentucky Oaks. And
she was great.
Lovely filly named Unique Bella. Looked like she might even be a filly might take on the boys in the Derby. Neither happened, and you end up here on Abel Tasman, and you win the race. So let's talk about the race first of all. You were far back in the early going, dead last, I believe, in the early going. Was that? Did you expect that?
I didn't expect to be that far back, but at some point I wanted to see if I could make my way over to the rail. I just felt that the rail was playing really good all afternoon. And I made my way over there, but then once I got over there, she didn't care to be down inside and getting all the kickback like that. So then I had to go to another plan and see if I could work my way back out again, which I was able to do about halfway down the backside. And then once I did that, she leveled off, and she really started picking horses up at that point. And I felt confident that I was back in the race, and it was just a matter if I could run them down. I felt they were going quick enough. For as far back as I was, I knew they were going really quick early, so that really worked out for me. And then pretty much after that, it was just a matter of keeping her busy. I was actually going to probably hit the front a little bit too soon, but I'd already gotten her going, and I wasn't about to tap on the brakes at that point. I just wanted to keep her running. You can see her, she's still having a little bit of trouble with the mud. She's really big. There's a lot of legs to her, and she's having a little trouble. She finally switched over to her right lead there, and then she kind of leveled off, and I felt comfortable. I was going to hold the horse off that was coming to our outside.
Incredible, right?
Yeah, thank you.
And it works out well. Again, far back in the early going, but they were really zinging along on the front end. Did you
they were going fast, because I actually rode her out of there, and I was still that far back, so I knew they were running quick, really quick, especially for that racetrack. Again, I angled to the rail immediately after that, and thought that I could get down in there. It seemed like the place to be all day long. Horses were coming down, down and finishing strong down on the inside. But like I said, once I got down in there, she was really just having trouble with it. Once I was able to move her back to the middle of the track, it's kind of, we call it the crown of the racetrack, out in the middle. Once I got out there, she seemed to level off and starting to pick up horses one at a time pretty quick. So again, at that point, I felt that I was back in the race. It was just a matter if we were good enough to go ahead and pass them all.
You're feeling fairly confident, though, at that point? At least you were going to get the best effort out of her after that start? I
was feeling, good enough that she was going to run well. Where at that point yet, I didn't have time to think think that much through, but I knew she was certainly going to run well at that point.
Mike, your previous win in this race came with Princess of Silmar over a very accomplished field. A lot of people thought it was one of the better fields in the history of the Kentucky Oaks, and you surprised in that one. And this one, considering where you were a few weeks ago and what it looked like you would be riding in this race, how does this one feel? And is it a surprise, kind of a gentle surprise for you to be back in the winner's circle here?
The first ones are always great, of course, but for some reason I enjoy the second ones better. I think that's enough to win this, because now you know what it felt like, and you know how to, I don't know, you just savor the moment a whole lot more. I think the first time I was just shocked that I'd won. I was probably about 30-1, I believe, that afternoon, and I'm enjoying this one.
As are the gentlemen immediately to your left. They're enjoying this one as well. 2 representatives, ladies and gentlemen, of the China Horse Club, one of the partners in this horse. The China Horse Club owning Abel Tasman, along with Clear Sky Farm. We only have the representatives from China Horse Club here. And I'm going to ask Mr. Teo to pronounce your name so I do not
You're right, Teo.
do anything wrong. So if you pull up the mic there a little bit and pronounce it for us there.
Teo is correct.
Teo.
T-E-O, Teo, yes.
Okay. And also we have Michael Wallace, who is racing and bloodstock manager with the with China Horse Club. And Mr. Teo, Just your thoughts, first of all. This is a marvelous win for this filly, first one for your ownership group in this race. And what does it mean to you to see?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Kentucky Oaks and the organizer here in Churchill Down for allowing us to have the opportunity to have our partner together with Bernard to stage a show, and with a fantastic, we regard as number one jockey and the trainer, Bob Baffert, as a team with Michael Wallace, and also my man standing behind there, Mick Flanagan. And to put together a show today is incredible. And not only we are here, but our friends and members and partners in all over Asia and China, and all our partners specifically in China. We have over, I think, about 800 million people reaching out in the channel, and we hope that today's race, which is very significant, will put the geographical location and the significance of Kentucky Oaks in the mind of the Chinese to understand the significance of this race. And being here with my family, Ivy and Johanna, and we are greatly very, very happy, I must say.
Could you talk a bit about the origin of the club?
Well, China Horse Club, as the name suggests, is a platform and the aspiration of the Chinese to get involved in the business of racing. And not only that, China Horse Club also promotes business networking. We have also heavily involved and promote the area of sports, especially in supporting in charity for jockeys, and we have set up a foundation to help and to train, especially in the area like Chinese jockeys in English, and so that they can well equip and learn. So we have sent them overseas in a country like Barbados, in Australia currently, just to equip the Chinese jockeys to understand. And they will be dying one day to be able to have a chat with Mike Smith internationally and to learn and upgrade their skill. And not only that, China Horse Club are also heavily involved in racing in 9 other countries. And to date, we are now, I was told, top 10 in the world, in the top 500 owners and trainers. And we are dedicated our resources to protect the welfare of the horse industries. And we are also building a new industries in China. And hopefully we can learn from all the experts, especially here. And we can bring expertise and have a two-way exchange so that China, even though they are late starter, they will not learn all the bad things. And they will learn all the right things to start off, though they are late. Thank you.
Again, this victory is only a few minutes old, but what do you think it will mean to you?
Well, I just let you know that my phone's ringing right now and vibrating non-stop. So I don't know who they're calling me, but I'm sure that's the impact of a win for China Horse Club, representing the aspiration of many around the world, and to be able to win a very significant race here in the United States, especially in Churchill Down. I think that says lots about the team, dedication, and today I'm very happy with Mike Smith and also our trainer and all the team here and our partners as well. Thank you.
And Michael Wallace is part of the team. Talk about this filly. She's been one of the outstanding members of the crop throughout the winter, but I think some people might have slipped off the radar a little bit after she was a distant second to Santa Anita Oaks, but you came here, and here you are. Your faith and patience is rewarded. What does this filly do for the operation and what you're trying to accomplish?
You know, obviously we're on the on the biggest stage here, and you know, to win a classic like this is you know right at the top end of what we're trying to achieve, really. So, you know, she's a filly that's obviously been there and done it at this level before, and Bob was very confident that he trained her up. So she was a filly that Mick Flanagan identified for us, and you know, brokered a deal with Clear Sky and the Cleary brothers there, and you know, been luckily proven very right today. So it's you know, she's a filly that's got a lot of scope, a lot of size, a lot of power. You know, she's going to be one to have a bit of fun with the next 18 months.
One more question for Mike before we open it up for everyone. The second time you've ridden her, first time out was a distant second to Paradise Woods, who ran the favorite here today, who ran a monstrous race that day. what were your thoughts coming out of that race? What lessons that you learned there that were valuable here today with her?
Well, coming out of that race, I knew there was a whole lot of upside to her. I didn't feel that she ran her A race that day. Although we got beat 11 lengths, I mean, it was a pretty good second. I wasn't going to catch the winner that day by no means. Paradise Woods had broken very well and pretty much had gotten the race her own way early on. But we ran well enough to get a good second. She was still well within herself, and I thought coming out of that race into this race, the way the race was looking on paper anyway, that it could really shape up for us today a whole lot better. Now, I didn't have, by no means did I plan on being last, but it's just the way it worked out. And like I said, after I was able to get her clear down the backside, she was certainly, I knew they were going quick enough, and I knew that they'd come back to me. It was just a matter of we're good enough to go ahead and pass them, and she was that and more.
All right, let's open it up for questions here. Raise your hand. We'll bring a microphone to you right here.
Bryce Miller from the San Diego Union Tribune. Mr. Tao, can you explain how you kind of connected with Bob and with Mike in terms of, was the situation with Simon and Joe, was that only the silks and solely and simply the silks? And Mike, if you could after that follow up with, just explain your thoughts on kind of the unusual circumstances that led to you getting this mount in this race.
Would you like to take that one?
Yeah,
I'll let Michael handle that.
Obviously everybody, is well aware of the situation that the filly was transferred, across, and we haven't commented on that till now, and we won't comment on it. Simon's a very good trainer, and he trained her, to a Group 1 win. Bob's also, he's a champion trainer, and he's carried that on. So, we're thankful for both, and everybody can just move on from this moment, and we've got a nice filly, and we're lucky to have Mike on a day like this, and we're lucky to have Bob on a day like this. So.
Yeah, it was well said. Well, I'm just blessed to be riding a lot of some really nice horses for Bob right now, and I was just very grateful that I got the opportunity to ride her, and happy to be a part of it. But like everything is sometimes you're in the right place at the right time, and I just happen to be doing really well for Bob, and so he decided to use me.
A question right here.
Mike, what does it say about Bob that, he doesn't have a Derby starter this year, but he still makes his presence felt at Churchill Downs?
That's Bob Baffert. Big money Bob. No, I mean, he really liked this filly coming in, made a slight change of equipment, added a slight pair of blinkers, cut back really short, nothing too drastic, but she seemed to be a whole lot more forward with the blinkers on in her work. So although we were last, I mean, we didn't plan on being there the first part of the race, she really did focus a whole lot more, through the backside and on through the lane, which was a great move on his part to add those, and I think it really helped a lot today.
Right here.
Mike, considering how the track had been planned all day, were there any pre-race instructions from Bob, or did he just say, "Hey, yo, Mike, be Mike"?
He pretty much lets me ride it like it comes up. I mean, we had an idea. We thought, we both thought that the rail was golden today. It looked that way, and he had mentioned it, and I did too at the time, that I'd like to at some point see if I could get down in there without doing anything too drastic. We broke. They were going quick early on, and I was able just to go ahead and shoot right down in there. So I thought I would get down there and see what happened. And she wasn't happy, and she wasn't handling it down in there for whatever reason. I don't know if it was the kickback in the mud hitting her at the same time. She's a real tall, a lot of legs to her. So I thought, well, this ain't working out too good. If I could, but in saying all that, too, she was still. It wasn't like she was, I was still well within herself, and I felt that if I could get her comfortable at some point somewhere, I think she'd make up some ground, and we'll see what happened after that. And once I was able to get her out, she just started picking them off one by one, pretty handy. If anything, I actually probably hit the front just a bit too soon, but in the slop, and you're going that far. Once you got them going, you might as well keep them going.
Mm.
Right here in the middle.
China Horse Club has invested in several stallions recently. I was just wanting to get a little overview on China Horse Club's interest in the stallion operations, especially with a horse like Irish War Cry coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, obviously, as part of our global portfolio, stallions worldwide are, an integral part of what we're trying to achieve. This time last year we were coming to the Derby with, Exaggerator. Tomorrow we come with, Irish War Cry and a new partnership that's been formed around him. That's a long-term view that we're taking for our Chinese investors that are looking to participate in the global market, in an economic sense, basically. So, there's a lot of investment in stallions and mares worldwide, and horses like Irish War Cry, are going to play an integral part of that long term. So that's part of a long-term philosophy of people from, our members from within China wanting to, participate in the entire industry.
Just had a sort of maybe a follow-up. When you say the members and the club, like how many investors or how many people are involved in your group, and then just can you talk about what the knowledge, the fan level of horse racing in China kind of is at this point, and where does that sort of fit on the sports map over there?
Well, thank you for asking. The China Horse Club history now, I think, is in the 4th year. In our 1st and 2nd year, I think we probably got less than about 100 members. And our unique situation, our members, that each of them have to put where the money and the mouth is. That means they all put in $1 million to subscribe. And we charge a little bit of management fees. The rest of money are all involved in, like what Michael said, short, medium, long-term views about horse industries. Now, as you know, in China, we have not really opened up or legalized gambling or wagering. So there are many other ways that we try to innovate and encourage investors. And there's no difference between investing in stock exchange or investing in stallions. The only thing that for them, investing in stallions, that they can calculate and they can look at the return. And so far, as what Michael said, we invest in more than 20 stallions, and the numbers are growing. And we are enjoying partnership with reasonable and trustworthy and very humble and result-oriented partners in America and Europe and Australia. And so far, in the last 2 years, and I think our result shows that their investments have quadrupled, and they are very encouraging. And therefore, the way to look forward, I think in the next 3 years, we foresee there will be a very encouraging involvement for the resources that's going to come from that part of the world.
I think you hit a number Mike Smith likes, judging from the smile on his face there. Could be the start of a beautiful friendship here, ladies and gentlemen.
Mike, you talked about the blinkers. How recently was that added, and can you give me a sense for how quickly Bob was able to diagnose any issues with this filly?
Immediately after her 2nd place finish in her last race in the Oaks, he's seen, and we both, everyone kind of see she broke okay, but she was kind of not 100% focused. Then she'd get a hold of you for about 1/16 of a mile, then she'd kind of lose a little bit of focus again. It's a good indication that they probably need just a little bit of a blinker. And so as soon as we got off, he said, "What do you think about a little bit of a blinker?" I said, "I was just getting ready to tell you that." So they went on immediately after that. So her next work, she had a slight pair on, and she worked really well with him. Although I wasn't on her for the work, I was standing with Bob when she worked, and she was in the bridle the whole time, breaking off, and even when she ran by her company, she stayed in the bridle, and she stayed with her head down instead of looking up. She actually beat me in. I was on a filly for Bob at Los Al, and when she ran by me, you could see her literally. I mean, she ran by me pretty handy, but what she did, boy, I mean, she threw her ears up and did all this, and I actually came back to her, so I knew that she would. That she kind of did that a little bit. So the blinkers kept her from doing that today. As I said earlier, I hit the front just a little bit early on her because I know that she'll pull up. But I already finally got her running, so I couldn't do much about it. But the blinkers really helped me to keep her focused, and she ran on through the race and actually galloped out even better.
Yeah, right back here in the back.
Mike, today, classic example of faith. I mean, like John said, a month ago, we didn't know because Unique Bella was hurt, and then here you are on the stage today. So just a classic example of faith and how you got to have faith and keep the faith, and things are going to work out.
You know, you surround yourself with the right people, good people, and good things happen. I mean, there's something to that. Your mom tells you that growing up, and there's something to that. It's really true. And I surround myself around Bob Baffert and some other great trainers that I get to ride for, and great owners, and this is the outcome. You know, so it's all about you know, getting prepared yourself and being the best you can be, but also surrounding yourself with the right people and the right horses.
Right here.
An additional question about the ownership group. Is this your all's most significant win in your all's silks? I mean, is this your greatest, at least in North America? Or what other ones would you have had? I mean, that would have.
You know, today it is. You know, we're very young in our racing participation in America. Basically, you know, we had just a couple of horses early on. But you know, our 3-year-old crop is really our first foray into it. Obviously, we were lucky enough to get a Group 1 winning filly, Yellow Gut, there in the first season, and you know, we've got some nice horses, colts that we share with Windstar, One-Liners, unbeaten, and he's a colt that we think's, you know, hugely talented. Outside of that, obviously, you know, we've had Epsom Derby wins, and you know, we've had a good spring in the last 2 or 3 weeks in Australia. A good autumn, with a couple of stallion colts, Invader winning a Group 1 2-year-old race, and Russian Revolution, a very good 3-year-old. So, you know, there's been, you know, a really high level of success in a short period of time. So, but to win a classic like this here at Churchill Downs, you know, this will take great weight and carry, you know, a lot of news through China and worldwide. So, yeah, this is a really important result and something, you know, we're very proud of.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by Bob Baffert, Hall of Fame trainer, now a 3-time winner of the Kentucky Oaks.
Thank you.
To go with his 4 Kentucky Derby victories and that Triple Crown a couple of years ago. So Bob's had some luck here at Churchill Downs and gets a win here today. Bob, if you could just think back to 6 weeks, 2 months ago. I mean, I'm sure you envisioned yourself here at Churchill Downs on the first weekend in May, but not necessarily this way. You had a lovely colt in Mastery. You had a lot of other horses. This filly was not in the picture, and you know, here you are. You don't have one in the Derby, but here in the Oaks with this filly, and you get one done.
Yeah, this sport, I mean, things change overnight. You know, Mike was sitting on Unique Bella, Mastery, then everything just changes, and here we show up. I have a horse thanks to the China Horse Club, they sent me this filly, and so, you know, we gave her one run, sort of like test run. We came back, make some changes, and she just came in here, was training well. It was nice flying under the radar and coming in here, and then the way the track was today, I was really worried earlier because it seemed like just all speed on the rail, and I was thinking, well, I'm just always a day early or whatever, but you know, and I got to give a lot of credit to Mike. He just rode her with a confidence he does, and just the older he gets, the better he gets, I guess. I don't know what it is, but Big Money Mike. And last thing I told him, don't think you're riding Airgate here, because, you know. And so sure enough, I said, well, you rode him just like Airgate. But you know what, the thing is that, you know, Mike, he knows I have confidence in him, whether it's right or wrong, whatever move, it's not the end of the world. So, you know, like, the clients I have, if you don't have mutual respect for each other, you have to trust each other. So there's really less pressure, and you know, you get a horse like this in your hands, and we know, you know, what we're going to do. If we're good enough, we'll win. But I have to give a lot of credit to you know, all my team. You know, Jimmy Barnes, Dana, who works with this horse, and we've never had a bad day with her. And she's just so classy. She's beautiful. In the paddock, she was like she was just perfect in there, like just, I mean, her head, and she's a kind, sweet filly, so so deserving. It was just, you know, I'm proud of her the way she came down that stretch, but that stretch is so long here. I thought it was going to be forever to get to the finish line, but it's so, never gets old. It was exciting, especially when you're not the heavy favorite, when you can sneak up and win one like that. So, you know, there was some really tough fillies in there, and when I saw that speed up front, you know, I knew that was going to help us. We needed, you know, something like that to happen because those are two really good fillies that were just battling down the backside. Matter of fact, you know, Mike says, "Did you see me down the back?" I said, "Dude, I was watching Paco Lopez and Pratt just going at it, and I was looking at the fractions because that was our, you know, a good chance." And so, you know, it just happened. You know, they just went real fast early, and we, you know, that's the way horse racing is. You take advantage of a situation like that. But, you know, this filly is just getting better and better, and I'm just China Horse Club. Thank you again.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
you know, we ruined our shoes and our sport coats, but it was worth it. Well worth it.
Bob, talk a bit about this filly coming out of the Santa Anita Oaks, and Paradise Woods was such a dominant winner that day. But, your thoughts and the ground you had to make up, and it was the first time you'd been that close to her, first time you had started it.
Yeah, well, you know what? Right before her last work, Martin Garcia, who's, you know, so he helps out a lot, he told me, he said, "You know, I think she needs blinkers." I said, "Well, I didn't want to tinker with her." So Mike, she came, she broke, and we gave her a couple works, you know, really didn't do a lot with her. And then when Mike, first thing he said, "Well, she needs to put little blinkers on her." I said, "Wow, that's what Martine told me." But, you know, that day, I mean, Paradise Woods, nobody's going to beat her. That she was just, you know, she put on a show that day. And so, but we really thought after that the blinkers, a big change. Big, I could see she was into the bit. The first day we brought her here, Dana said that she galloped her and she went around there sort of like she was lost. So then I said, "Well, put the blinkers." We put the blinkers on her to gallop, and she was a different filly. So, and she just does everything professionally. She's never had a bad day with her, and so it's been really calm, cool the whole time. But her demeanor in the paddock was just perfect for what you want, and she was just, you know, looking at those other fillies, she just looked like a picture. You know, she looks healthy. She can tell she's getting better, and she's filling out her frame. So, no, she's a really nice filly, and so I'm just fortunate that I got a call one day, says, "Would you take this filly?" I go, "What?" Of course. What are you talking about? But it's, you know, but she was in great shape. When I got her, she looked fantastic.
Before we open it up for questions here, just one more question, since she is the one filly you have with China Horse Club. Would you like to have after this result?
Well, we had another horse that was on the Derby Trail, American Anthem, and he hasn't lived up to his, but he'll be better down the road. But you know, it's just, you know, it's tough. It's a business of numbers. You know, you have to have numbers, and you're going to hit that lotto ticket, and so, but they go after the right horses. They went after the right horse, and Clear Sky. I mean, that they bred him. I mean, they're making me famous. It's like, you know, all those good horses they've bred, and it's just I was happy for them. They just, you know, they breed great horses, sell good horses, and they're not cheap either. But they just have a knack for it. So I mean, they should be really proud because they just have a great organization.
Ladies and gentlemen, questions for three-time Kentucky Oaks winner Bob Baffert himself.
Bob, the other day you were talking about trying to slink out of town like a golfer who missed the cut at the Masters. Does this change your plans? Are you still leaving early in the morning?
No, we're still leaving. It's, you know what, I don't have anything. If I had something in, I would stay. But if I don't have anything in, it's just not the. I mean, I don't know what I would do with myself. It's, you know, I need to have something to get me nervous or some challenge or whatever. But we'll get back to California. But it's going to be a nice trip back, and just to win the Kentucky Oaks was, you know, like it's a great honor, you know, to win that, because it's these 2 days of racing. It's the biggest stage, you know, in the country. So so when you can do that when everybody's watching, it makes it better. And unfortunately the weather was a little bit crappy, to say the least, but at least it was nice and cool, and it was great for our little filly to pull that off.
Any other questions? Right over here, right over here.
One for Bob and just a quick one for Mike. Bob, Mike indicated that he thought he might have hit the front a little too early with the filly. Was there any point from your vantage point that you thought you might get caught from the filly on the outside, or when did you know you had it? And for Mike, your thoughts on the Oaks Derby double potentially?
I think when she started moving at about the 2.5, then I knew down the backside. I thought, wow, I don't know what's going on there. And I'm watching the pace setters. I'm watching what's going on up front, and you could tell there was some, serious pace going on. And then up at the 2.5, that's when when they come to the 2.5. If you're not moving, if you start moving there, that's a really good sign in racing. And I saw her move. I go, wow, she's moving. I could tell she's picking horses off. And so I thought, wow. She came wide, turned for home, and I thought, here she comes. But I don't think he moved too early. I thought he moved. I think it was the most brilliant performance I've ever seen. So, but that wire is so far down there. It just took forever. I was like, where's the wire? But no, I mean, Mike he can be a little hard on himself. I think it was another brilliant ride by Mike.
Just gonna leave it like that. Thank you. In saying that, what I meant was, in the past, she had a tendency to look around a little bit. At the time, I'm not even thinking about the blinkers, but as she was running through the lane and kept on running without looking around, I knew those blinkers had really helped a lot. So that's all I meant by that part. I appreciate the kind words.
Hey.
Any other questions from the group here? Bob?
By the way, I got to say something funny. Bodie, my son Bodie,
there he is.
Baffert. Sometimes when we get beat in these big races, we stay downtown, and there's a sports bar there, and so we'll go. Everybody's tired. We get beat. Well, we said, why are we eating the sports bar? Everybody's tired, and so we're not going to go to Jeff Ruby's, have a big steak or something, and down the I didn't hear him, but Jill said down the backside, he says, I guess we're eating at the sports bar tonight.
Switch to Jeff.
That's good. Switch.
The other question? Yes, back to back. Hold on.
So Bob, since you don't have a horse in the race tomorrow, do you have a breakdown of tomorrow's race, and do you have a pick?
You know what? Everybody, I ask other people, and everybody says, I don't know. It's like the I don't know derby. It's like, there's a lot of, I think there's some nice horses in there. There's a lot of parity. There hasn't been a horse separate himself from the pack yet. And usually the Kentucky Derby will do that. I think that a horse is going to do something tomorrow. I don't know which one it is, but one of them is going to do that to get everybody chimed in. I think all the races have been pretty close. You've got the winner of the Florida Derby. I think Todd Pletcher's horse is really fast. Bodie Meister. But a lot of horses, they have to have their own way. Irish War Cry. You got the California horses. They're tough. McCracken's a hometown horse that everybody's. You hear all these whispers. That's the only thing about this week. I didn't hear anybody whispering about Abel Tasman. I was sort of like, hey, wait a minute, maybe I don't have a shot. But forget the whispers. At the end of the day, the cream rises to the top, and I think tomorrow one of them is going to really sell you, whether it's Irish War Cry, who looks good. They've all looked really, really good. I've been watching them train, and my wife, which one do you like? I said, well, they come by, they all look good. The horse that won the Bluegrass, IRAP, he's waking up. A lot of horses wake up once they start going to mile and 1/8. That starts separating those horses. Mile and 16th, they all stay together, but when they start going to mile and 1/8, that's what happened to Real Quiet, War Emblem. You remember him, So when they start going that distance, that's when the big engines kick in.
Ready to himself.
Bob, in your mind, are any of these horses the equal of Mastery?
Well, I don't think that's fair to really compare him. We knew Mastery was a very gifted horse, and he had us all really excited. I mean, when he won that, that just shows you, how brutal this business, you know, you have to have the stomach for it. And, you know, 1 minute you win, and I'm walking down like, wow, this is the horse that we've always thought he was. And next thing, you know, 20 seconds later, you know, you see Mike is taking the saddle off. It's just a horrible feeling. But luckily, you know, it could have been worse, and he's fine. But that's what you just can't take anything for granted. And he was a special horse. We were really, you know, we thought we were going to come here to the Derby with a, you know, and I thought he was the kind of horse that would be, you know, Derby Preakness, Belmont type with his, you know, he had brilliance, and unfortunately, those things happened. And you know, I've seen a lot of horses that, you know, other trainers had that were really good horses. The horse that ran second in the Breeders' Cup, Del Romans, I can't think of his name,
Not
but
this time.
yeah, he was a really good horse, and they got her. So these horses, you know, you just have to, you know, you have to swallow that pill. It's tough to swallow, but today, thank God for Abel Tasman. She saved the day. Thank you very much.
Hey, Bob, the ups and downs of this game, is that why you love it?
Well, it's crazy. That's why I have white hair. But you know what? You know, it's a sport. As a trainer, it's like being a coach. You cannot rest on your laurels. I never look back what I've done. It's what can I look forward. You know, hopefully get back here again with a horse. But there's a lot of challenges out there. But you know, you have to have a certain stomach for it. It's not for everyone. You know, like the jockeys. I mean, they're almost like downhill ski racers or bull riders. You know, there's no fear. They just got to go in there.
Tough Hedeman.
Huh? Tough Hedeman?
Right there.
Oh, there he is right there. Now, there's a cow. That's a real cowboy right there.
Big-time
And
champ.
so, but it's one of those things where you just really, you just got to accept you're going to have bad luck. You know, you're losing 80% of the time, but you're doing well. I mean, that's the only sport that you know, you be lucky to win 20% of the time. So you're going to take a lot of lumps, but you have to get back up and get back in the saddle. And so that's what we do. We've had some really great luck, and we've had some really bad luck. And it's tough to take, and it can wear on you. But I just wake up the next day, and you just got to move forward.
Any others? One more in the back. We'll wrap it up here.
This question's for Bob. After the race, you were on the NBC cameras, how you and the family celebrating by doing the dab. Whose idea was that?
Bodie is a super dabber. Bodie's the best dabber, and so he's got me dabbing now. It's like we have so much tension coming into these races, and that's just, the dab is just a release of like, just makes you feel, that's how, we're just celebrating, you know, we probably get 10-yard penalty or whatever for our celebration, but we, you know, that's our way of, you know what, we just pulled off something really spectacular, so we don't dab at every stake race. This is really special ones. Right, Bodie?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we want to say congratulations again to the winning owners, Mr. Teo of the
Thank you very much.
Club, and Michael Wallace. Also, Clear Sky Farm.
You tell
Mike
him.
Smith's got some work to do tomorrow.